Tribute for George Harrison concert. That was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers doing one of his better-known songs. We bring on the air one of the best property tax experts that you could ever want to take a look at what the county and city and everybody else are trying to do to your property taxes, Andrea Raila. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Great
and
to
you
be here.
came in just roaring about the way assessments and tax rates have been going. This is something that people always like to complain about, but hate talking about because we very quickly get into the minutia of stuff no one cares to understand. But we have a big brewing problem here as we rely on primarily property taxes to pay for everything else, including schools that can't quite finish the end of the school year. So you came in here looking at the disparity in different parts of the city in the way assessments and rates are beginning to add up. And I think I'll just start you there. What concerns you this morning about the inequities that we're seeing increasingly across the county?
Well, I think a lot of people are rolling out of bed and seeing the Sun-Times article. The front page is where Jim Pritzker gets a huge property tax break on one of his mansions that he bought on the Gold Coast for close to $4 million. The property taxes were at $117,000. He got a tax break because they were uninhabitable and he was rehabbing it, and it went down to $20,000. But he also got $230,000 back in savings and refunds, and this happened on another property. So that kind of makes you levitate when you see those types of breaks. But then when you see something coming out in Cranes, Chicago City Wire did a great expose on what are the problems happening in West Chicago, South Chicago. The local government information service works on this real estate data. They also own Chicago City Wire, and they said that in Austin community, when they looked at the sales out there, the average sale was around $30,000, but the assessment is, or the market value is $134,000. And on Laramie, you have properties selling for $45,000, but the market value set by the assessor's office is $143,000. We have the
How can Joe Barrios set the market value at that when the history of the West Side is what it is, and that is the price people have bought things for?
you know, they're supposed to use a sophisticated regression analysis, okay? And they put the data in, and they're supposed to kick that data out. But that data is not going in, and when you have bad data going in,
So
you have bad data going in.
So you got a guy throwing darts at the wall.
I think that is a good explanation of it. But here's interesting. We had Chicagoland reassessed in 2015, and if you didn't do something about your taxes at that time, you saw your August 2016 tax bills jump up.
Yeah.
Both of these property owners did.
And so you're back into that appeal market for the second time again. You know, people can appeal each and every year.
Right.
Hopefully when you get that increase, you appeal it the first time, but sometimes you have to go twice. It's like having a bad root canal. But sometimes that's what you have to do because the tax rates are ever increasing.
It's like a bad root canal.
We collect $29 billion in property taxes in the state of Illinois. $12 billion of that comes from Cook County. And when we have an income tax rate that's dropped back from 5.5% to 3%, you've got to rely on property taxes. That is, and you know, you don't have every single taxpayer paying property taxes, right? You have a lot more larger base paying income taxes. But that's another story. But what's happening now on the southwest sides and this reassessment is towns like Oak Park, Cicero, Palos, Bremen. They're all getting reassessed. Now, some of those townships have some of the poorest communities, Blue Island, Bellwood, Dixmoor. They are getting an average increase of 21%. And it's shown in, not only just documented by the City Wire, but Cranes did analysis. That community, Cicero in particular, are getting a 23% increase in the average. And so somebody else is getting 30 and 40%. Their real estate values plummeted 42%. And, you know, where do you get this statistics where you can increase somebody 22%, the average, and then you have market values that plummet like that? And in the Austin community, and in Inglewood. You know, nobody's speaking out, I think, for those communities when it comes to property taxes because they don't understand how to actually challenge them.
Andrea Raila, do you see a scandal brewing if someone had the political will, or some people had the political will to take on Barrios and how property taxes are assessed? I mean, this is really a crime being done to an awful lot of people who can't afford this kind of money.
And that's his base, okay? And then we had a new law put in 4 years ago that if you if you got 2 homeowners exemption, you have a lot of investors who have single-family homes that they rent out. They found themselves with duplicate homeowners exemptions. There's a law now that the assessor can go back and make you pay 7 years back those homeowners exemptions. Homeowners exemptions can range in a value of $400 to $1,000 in tax savings. So we have seen a lot of minorities coming back to the assessor's office, being called in on these special hearings to pay for their erroneous homeowners exemption. This is a 10% interest and a $500 penalty. And it's just been egregious to minority neighborhoods that did not know that they had a duplicate tax bill that had homeowners exemption. That has angered a lot of folks. And so line up, because there are people that are interested in running for Joe Barrios' job in March of 2018.
Well,
line up.
Well, we have Cook County Commissioner Larry Sufferton in our district, and he regularly notifies us how to appeal your tax assessment. Do these areas that you're describing, who are suffering inordinate and quite seriously ridiculous assessments, do they have activist commissioners like Larry Sufferton, or are they? I mean, really, I think it's like a crime these guys are committing. Barrios is committing a crime, and those who are not telling their people about it are sort of in cahoots.
Well, they don't have the kind of communications I think happens on the north side and in the Booktown and Wicker Park community. I don't think they have that kind of sophistication. But I was on WVON 2 weeks ago, and we talked about this, and it was, really, we had like 10 people calling in about, their high property taxes and whether or not they missed their homeowners exemptions. Now, when you're 65, you can get a senior exemption.
Right.
But they've changed the law, and if you don't apply for it each and every year, you don't get it. So a lot of seniors have lost their exemptions, their senior exemption and the homeowner's exemption, because there's a spike in the certificates of error that have to come out of the assessor's office and to put those monies back on
This
the roll.
also feels like a trick. If you're a senior 1 year, you're still a senior.
That's right. Have we ever reversed
I'll
back?
attest to that.
Right.
Yeah, I'll attest to that too.
But I think the
I know what it is. It's the regression analysis.
Well, what they're trying to do is monitor who are the so-called tax cheats and trying to get, extra exemptions or senior exemptions. And, but I think if you are a elected government official and your philosophy is that every property taxpayer is a tax cheat or trying to win over the system, I don't think that's a good philosophy to get yourself reelected again. As a matter of fact, you have to really work hard for taxpayers to have confidence in the property tax system, because they have lost their confidence in the property tax system because it doesn't seem to relate to what true market values are. And we have a huge explosion of tax appeals. We file more tax appeals in the Cook County Board of Review and Assessor's Office than anywhere in the nation. And what we really, really need to reform is to cap triennial reassessment increases, because the sky's the limit. Cicero dropped 41% in their real estate market values, yet they got on an average a 22% increase. That can be changed by legislation where they cap the triennial increases to no more than 10% except for a new sale or construction. That's legislation I'm interested in working on.
Are there any people, any politicians in particular, any people besides yourself who are really taking this on and bringing it to people's attention? Is there anyone out there?
Yes, I would say Senator Jones, Emil Jones Jr., He's a big advocate for his district in changing property taxes and making those reforms, because I've worked with him and we've been able to pass reforms under his leadership.
We took on the assessor Varios earlier, but he's really just one step in this whole process. We also have double dippers like Madigan and Burke, who routinely get downtown property tax appeals. Probably one of them represented the Pritzker case, because that's what they do. And it seems to me that's something else that we could look at least from an ethical point of view, if not legislation, about is it right for a legislator to also make most of his money by getting commercial property tax appeals?
Amen.
And isn't it really speaking to a bigger issue that the state needs revenue reform?
Absolutely, but you know, if you have the assessor and 3 Cook County Board of Review commissioners taking money from people who practice right before them, you know, we're not talking about 230 judges.
It's
but if you
incredible.
practice
It is
before them,
incredible. This is
you
making me.
know you can get right in front of them, and you get all of that campaign money pouring in. When Joe Barrios became the Cook County Democratic Chairman, the Cook County Democratic Chairman in the past, they weren't bringing in money from property tax lawyers. Look at what's going into the Cook County Democratic Chairman funds now. It's all dominated by the tax lawyers and consultants. And so it's, you know, you can kind of follow that circle. Tax increases, reassessment increases are large, and then they get reduced through the appeal process, and then you have another fundraiser, etc. We need to pull that out of the system. I think we should have an appointed Cook County assessor. Don't elect him,
What a concept.
appoint him. Appoint him like other states do.
If people wanted to follow up on this conversation and get more information, where do you want to lead them?
Well, you know, I work with the Civic Federation,
Mhm.
and there's many groups out there that you can get involved with. We do real estate tax appeal workshops as well. They're free. We were participants in Smart Money Week in April. We gave 5 sessions. We had over 200 people show up. And we give these sessions free, and it's really hands-on. We're not trying to get any groups, but if you go to taxes2high.com, you can see where those schedules are at.
Great.
You know, once upon a time, I think you were thinking about running for tax assessor. Any chance of that?
Well, you know, I did in 2009. I put my hat in the ring. I did it in 6 weeks, collected 12,000 signatures. Wasn't quite enough to stay on the ballot. You need 30,000, even though in reality, you know, you need 8,000. But I wouldn't rule out something like that in March of
Hallelujah.
2017.
You heard it first, right here on Live from
All
the
right, all
Heartland.
right. Thank you, Andrea Raila.
Thank
And look
you.
at taxes2high.com